Apathy towards LIA highlights half month. It's officially mid-month, so we're going to take our standard look at the GoFundMe market for the first half of September, after noting that our own ongoing expenses account took Saturday with a $60 take, beating out the now second-place Defend DMA in the fight against corruption and oathbreakers, which saw a take of $25. For the first half of the month so far, let's eliminate those funds that haven't seen any action for the month. Henry to support Craig's work, support Press with Rancors Legal Fund, Chile de Castro Legal Aid Fund, Donation Fund, Help People Fund, Chile de Castro Legal Defense Fund, Crime Scene Tape Illegal Arrest Fund, Just Despite Chile de Castro, support delete laws from the tyranny he fights, unofficial, help for public safety, fight fraud recovered, Long Island audits unlawful arrest and constitutional rights, Long Island audits support the fight against unlawful arrest, Long Island audits fund legal defense against unlawful arrest, Long Island audits help with criminal defense attorney for this case, Long Island audits help LIA with legal fees to fight tyrant's lawsuit, Long Island audits help with billboard truck purchase to expose tyranny, help BZ Watchdog hold police accountable, Floyd Wallace Thailand or Philippines tour, bring back Auditing America, and to a help keep Butterfly Boy afloat. A significant takeaway from the goose eggs list is a complete lack of donations to Press with Rancors Defense Fund. Despite Jose Chile de Castro owing over $20,000 on the fund, if he's decided to still honor the debt, there's been no movement or promotion of his friend's campaign, leaving those to wonder exactly what's going on to make up for the money he owes. Otherwise, the list isn't too surprising except for the total collapse of Long Island Audit, which has seen no donations whatsoever to any of his campaigns for the month. His support the fight against tyranny and help with billboard truck campaigns are usually his biggest performers, and their goose eggs are noticeable. Chile de Castro's doing a little better with two of his campaigns, Justice for All Legal Battle and Lawyer Fund Only, earning $20 each for the half month, which kind of spoils our next section, the list of what actually earned anything for the half month. Help Christopher Direct D. Ruff clear his name comes in at number 5 with a $15 take for the half month. Number 4 is a tie between Jose Chile de Castro's Justice for All Legal Battle and Lawyer Fund Only funds with $20 takes each. Number 3 is a $125 take for Defend Direct D in the fight against corruption and oathbreakers. Number 2 is the surprise entry of Blue Bacon's covered defense costs against a frivolous lawsuit fund with a $150 take. At number 1 is our ongoing expenses fund with a $240 take for the month. We'll update this list at the end of the month to see if any of the goose eggs have rebounded. On that note, if you'd like to assure that our fund continues to outperform all the bigger, more popular, less smelly, more dateable, and less awkward funds, we'd be remiss if we didn't remind you that you can continue to force the dread writer Jim Finch to keep writing this dreadful column each day by contributing to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Jason Dollahide moved to state prison. Former YouTuber and Jose Chile de Castro associate Jason Dollahide was moved from overflow housing at the Cleveland County Detention Center in Oklahoma to the Lexington Assessment and Reception Center in Lexington, Oklahoma last week. The Assessment and Reception Center is a male-only minimum, medium, and maximum security facility opened in 1978 and is essentially the staging area for Oklahoma's prison system to determine where inmates need to be placed within their system. According to their website, Dollahide will be housed there while the ODOC staff reviews his sentencing documents, enters his information into agency systems, and assesses him to determine which state facility should house him next according to his risks and needs. Dollahide is currently serving 2 concurrent 15-year sentences for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, which he took a plea deal for earlier in the year. Dollahide had been embraced by Jose Chile de Castro after de Castro saw a video of Dollahide's arrest in a deer-watching area of an Oklahoma park. The two became close friends, with DeCastro claiming to send money to Dollahide for commissary funding before DeCastro himself went to jail earlier in the year. DeCastro at one time also attempted to convince Dollahide's wife Heather to file for divorce from her husband in order to settle a child services issue while he was imprisoned, with the ultimate plan announced on DeCastro's own live stream to reunite the couple after Heather Dollahide regained custody of their daughter. Heather Dollahide ended her association with DeCastro after claiming she was going to file SA charges against YouTuber Floyd Wallace, who allegedly acted inappropriately with Heather Dollahide and a female friend when he came to interview her on behalf of DeCastro. Despite the incident, Jason Dollahide and DeCastro remain close friends, with DeCastro overfunding Dollahide's commissary account. On more than one occasion, Dollahide had stockpiled so much from the commissary that guards intervened and confiscated his stockpile of supplies. The former YouTuber complained bitterly about the confiscation to DeCastro in semi-regular calls featured on DeCastro's live streams. Some have blamed Dollahide's harsh sentencing on his association with DeCastro, claiming that the prison system in Oklahoma somehow knows about DeCastro and treats Dollahide worse from the association. They also claim that Dollahide is a sweet man who loves smoking out and would never hurt anyone. Those folks also ignore the fact that Jason Dollahide still has multiple outstanding charges in Cleveland County, Oklahoma, reaching back several years, with an overall criminal record reaching back decades, with a history of violence against both civilians and police officers long before his association with DeCastro. His most recent arrest, which happened in July of 2023 for allegedly assaulting a police officer with his vehicle with his daughter in the car, was so bad that all of the bail bondsmen in Oklahoma have refused to work with him, with some in fact removing his previous bonds, leaving him on the hook for a bond of over $140,000. DeCastro attempted to help lower the bond, and at one point to intervene to allow Dollahide to be let out of jail to attend his father's funeral, have all failed. Dollahide is expected to serve 2/3 of his current sentence if he gets time off for good behavior, which would see him released in 2034, provided his outstanding charges result in convictions that are served concurrently. DirectD banned from YouTube streaming. Christopher DirectD Ruff went live on Saturday only to have his stream removed by YouTube after he flashed a replica BB gun on camera, which YouTube claimed violates their terms of service, and implemented a live stream ban on his main channel. The YouTuber immediately took to Twitter to protest the decision after encountering an apparent YouTube customer service bot that was less than helpful. It claimed that YouTube's internal team reviewed his appeal of the suspension, and it was the final decision of the team. Ruff countered that the appeal was submitted and he received the final response within a minute of the submission, and that no human could have had time to review his appeal in that period. The bot assured him that the decision was not made by YouTube's support team and that they had no way to intervene or override the decision. The bot also did not give him any information on the length of his suspension, as the only warning he received was that his video was taken down and the live streaming had been suspended, but it was not a content warning or a content strike. Ruff attempted to appeal to the YouTube creators team on Twitter, writing, "I was handling a BB gun, not a firearm. I made this clear in my live, and I even showed that it was not a firearm, but rather a replica. Never had an issue before, and YouTube TOS only speaks on firearms. By definition, a BB gun is not a firearm. The mistake is preventing me from live streaming." The team YouTube account wrote him back, "Total understanding where you're coming from. We'll take a look into this and let you know what we find. Hold tight. It might take a couple of days to hear back." Ruff responded, "I appreciate the response, but a few days? I'm currently restricted from live streaming with no idea on how long. That's a problem, especially when I'm familiar with YouTube TOS and I know I didn't violate them. My channel has been around for 7 years now, and I have never experienced this kind of issue. How can I violate the firearms policy when I don't even own one?" Neither the YouTube creators nor Team YouTube accounts have provided a further response as of press time. Ruff's clear issue is that YouTube removed a video featuring a replica of an actual firearm. YouTube spots are not qualified to determine the difference between a replica and a firearm and took away his ability to livestream based on that determination. Also at issue is the fact that Ruff is a convicted felon and is not allowed by law to own a traditional firearm, but is allowed to own BB guns, including replica guns that look like other firearms. Ruff is conscious of his status and has been protective of his right to own the replica guns without getting flagged as violating his status as a felon. A felon having a firearm or a legal weapon in Arizona, where Ruff lives, is a Class 4 felony and carries a sentence of 1.5 to 3 years in jail upon a guilty verdict. Ruff's live streaming ability has not been restored as of press time. Denver Metro Audits wins Sunday with $5 take. $5. That's it. $5 to Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova by a single donor gave him the GoFundMe win for Sunday to give him an overall win for the Friday to Sunday period with an outstanding win. Cordova's win put him at $130 in new funding for the month, hot on the heels of him announcing that he'll soon be filing a lawsuit against Sheridan, Colorado police, as charges against him shining a flashlight at a Sheridan police vehicle have been dropped. The charges stem from an incident last spring where Cordova was driving around with Christopher Directy Ruff and Freedom Jim. Ruff used the flashlight to illuminate the police vehicle as the trio passed it in Cordova's vehicle multiple times, resulting in the pullover. Cordova made the decision to take the blame for the incident, as Ruff had an outstanding warrant from Arizona and may have been brought in on the charge had he been cited for the incident. Cordova documented his treatment at the hands of the Sheridan police and later threatened a lawsuit. In his latest videos, Cordova said he was expecting a settlement from the city of Sheridan for $100,000 for wrongful arrest and his mistreatment at the hands of Sheridan police officers. In more settlement news, YouTuber Merb returned to his channel after a short break to take on the recent ruling on the motion for summary judgment in the ongoing lawsuit where Jose Chile de Castro is suing the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. Merb said that he hated to disappoint the De Castro haters, but he claimed that since the lawsuit survived the motion for summary judgment, it was more than likely that the LVMPD would opt to settle the case and give De Castro a payout to make it go away rather than continue with the case. The YouTuber said he expected a settlement of around $15,000 as De Castro couldn't prove the remaining claims, but it would be more financially beneficial to the LVMPD to settle without admitting fault than to continue to fund the case. Settlement talks have not been on the table in the lawsuit, and the LVMPD has until early next month to file a second motion for summary judgment to address issues brought by the initial motion. On that note, if you'd like to assure that Denver Metro Audits never, ever again takes the day with such a paltry amount, we'd be remiss if we didn't remind you that you can continue to force the college dropout and known cryptid Jim Finch to keep writing this dreadful column each day by contributing to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Jeremiah Payne announces Clarksville lawsuit. Jeremiah Payne posted a new video to his YouTube channel claiming that a lawsuit has been filed, waiting on a court date update will come as they are available, from an incident that apparently happened last year outside of a McDonald's in Clarksville, Tennessee. Payne, wife Samantha, and their then 5-year-old daughter were protesting on a sidewalk near a busy intersection in Clarksville when they were approached by a Clarksville police officer who said he was just following up on a welfare check request on Payne's daughter, as a motorist saw her running in the grass without a parent around. The officer asked the trio to move off the sidewalk, as staying stationary on a sidewalk was a code violation, as it was considered blocking the sidewalk. Samantha Payne initially agreed to move their wagon and belongings off the sidewalk and onto the grass, explaining that she thought they would have gotten in trouble from McDonald's for sitting in the grass. As Samantha was complying, the officer said that it was just a warning and he wasn't going to issue a citation for blocking the sidewalk. Jeremiah mumbled under his breath that it was a double sidewalk and no one had any problems getting around them. The officer questioned what Jeremiah said. Jeremiah repeated it loudly, and the officer asked for Payne to identify himself. The usual situation with Payne then played out, with the officer and Payne exchanging words, Payne refusing to show ID, Payne threatening that the video will go viral, the officer explaining that if he needs to arrest Payne, he'll have to call Child Protection Services, and Payne demanding a sergeant on scene. New to the script was the officer, now backed by several more officers, including one who used a PA system to say, "Be sure to like, share, and subscribe," as he apparently recognized Payne, claiming that Payne didn't have the First Amendment right to ask for a sergeant, as his sergeant appeared on scene. Dismissing his officers, the sergeant politely talked through the situation with the Paynes and said that he was not going to issue Payne a citation for what happened. Payne clearly embellished his side of the story, as the sergeant took his information for the complaint Payne was attempting to file, and the situation ended with the two men shaking hands and briefly discussing Clarksville's pending Riverfest event. As the Riverfest event was retired in 2023 and is no longer being held, along with Payne referring to his daughter as 5 years old, the video is clearly from 2023. Payne did not indicate where the lawsuit had been filed, what he is suing for, or what outcome he is seeking as of press time. DirectD YouTube livestream ability restored. Fans of YouTuber Christopher DirectD Ruff rejoiced early Monday morning as the YouTuber regained the right to livestream on the service following a brief suspension from live streaming this weekend, first showing a replica BB gun on camera and being flagged by YouTube system for displaying an actual weapon. The incident happened late Saturday night as Ruff had streamed on both his main channel and a private secondary channel. The stream was apparently halted, and Ruff received a notice that his ability to stream was suspended, but it was not a content warning or a content strike. Ruff contacted YouTube customer service directly and via Twitter and received various conflicting automated answers, that YouTube had made a final ruling about pulling his streams and that they were also investigating the cause of Ruff's ban from the live streaming. At question is Ruff's display of a replica BB gun, which is designed to look like a real handgun. YouTube's AI bots apparently did not review Ruff's explanation that it was not a real weapon to take the display into context, despite what it looked like, and banned him from live streaming for an indefinite period. YouTube's firearm policies were revised in June of 2024 and seem to concern the selling or production of firearms. Though in the example of what is not permitted on the service, it states, live streams that feature someone holding or handling a firearm, regardless of whether or not they are firing it. Note, this does not include firearms in video games. For penalties for violating their guidelines, it states, if this is your first time violating our community guidelines, you'll likely get a warning with no penalty to your channel. You will have the chance to take a policy training to allow the warning to expire after 90 days. The 90-day period starts from when the training is completed, not when the warning is issued. However, if the same policy is violated within a 90-day window, the warning will not expire and your channel will be given a strike. If you violate a different policy after completing the training, you will get another warning. BB guns are not mentioned in the guidelines, but a case could be made for a replica BB gun that resembles a real firearm to be a violation of set policy. Ruff did not specify that he received clarification from YouTube as of press time. The YouTuber set his most recent live stream where he addressed the controversy to members-only status. Eli names Bear Britton Audits as mastermind behind assault. YouTuber Eli briefly addressed his physical assault by fellow YouTuber Easy Cameras On during a live stream Sunday night while naming Bear Britton Audits as the mastermind behind the attack on a Monday video released to his channel. On the Sunday night live stream, Eli walked the block in front of his house, pausing to touch his own bloodstains at the point where he was attacked by Easy on Friday night. He showed off scrapes on his knees and knuckles and said that he had a shallow stab wound in his chest, but that he was not meant to die on Friday the 13th. Eli said that he had evidence that Easy was paid off by someone but wouldn't identify that person more than the initials of BBA. His side chat named BBA as Bear Britton Audits, a United Kingdom-based auditor who has been at odds with Eli for some time and had been banned from the People's Podcast TV, which has an association with Eli. Inviting Easy back for a round two, Eli said that BBA should pay him more next time to take him out, and that Easy was stupid, as he and his friend live-streamed the assault, and that police were now looking for both of them. There was some random talk of Eli's friends looking for Easy, and that Easy should be watching his back as revenge was apparently coming. On Monday's produced video, Bear Britton Audit's appearance on the People's Podcast TV was featured. Bear Britton Audit said that Eli needed to watch his back and that Eli would soon have a second injury to his eye to match a previous eye injury. Bear Britton Audits then clearly said that he hired Easy Cameras On to assault Alexander McQueen, the name of the account that was moderating the People's Podcast TV. He said that he had paid Easy to camp outside of McQueen's house until he could assault the YouTuber. Bear Britton's Audits was later banned from appearing on the People's Podcast TV channel. Easy and Eli engaged in what some are calling mutual assault, as Easy was screaming outside of Eli's house on Friday night, and Eli chose to engage Easy in a physical battle instead of calling the police to handle the situation. Eli said it was his own stupidity to let Easy up when he had battered him to the ground in a ground and pound and was worried about Easy's breathing. As Eli released Easy, Easy pulled a knife and stabbed Eli several times, essentially leaving him for dead after Eli's wife pulled him back and Easy's friend, who was filming the incident, told him to leave. The battle played out on competing YouTube streams Friday night, and Eli was taken to the hospital to treat his wounds, before checking himself out of the hospital when hospital staff would not let him live stream from the facility. Floyd Wallace returns, the market yawns. Market darling Floyd Wallace returned to live streaming on Monday with an apparent direct response to our recent coverage of his disappearance, calling recent news on him the work of a troll channel and updating his fans with his current situation, which had no effect on the GoFundMe market at all. As usual, Wallace took every opportunity to tell his story and to fundraise for the nearly $800 he owes in fines related to his recent guilty plea in Grayson County, Texas, for resisting arrest, search, or transport. He was arraigned in July and agreed to a plea deal on September 10, 2024, where he pled guilty to the charge, was fined $787, and accepted probation for 6 months. Wallace provided a link to his case and instructions on how his fans could directly pay for his fine for him, with a goal of paying the fine off immediately so he could pursue having his probation reduced from 6 months to 3 months in the case. Explaining probation from the case, Wallace stated that while he's on probation for 6 months, he's allowed to travel anywhere within the United States without restrictions, as he doesn't live in Grayson County, and he has already tentatively obtained permission to leave the United States at any time. According to the YouTuber, he can leave the country for anywhere in the world, but must return to the United States after 21 days. He laughed and said that he'd just return for a day and then leave again if the situation presented itself. The YouTuber said that his passport problems had been resolved, and that the holdup with his passport came as the system showed that a warrant out in Nebraska was still active in error. The issue was eventually resolved, and Wallace received both a new passport and a passport card. He then addressed his upcoming plea deal out of Cleveland County, Oklahoma, scheduled for October 1st, 2024. Wallace said he wanted to fire his attorney and fight the charges, which carry 2 months in jail, claiming that if he loses in court, he'd simply serve the 2-month jail sentence, as the sentence would be reduced to 26 days. Wallace called serving time in jail boring and claimed to be racially discriminated against in the Oklahoma case, as all the police officers and judges he encountered were white. He also claimed that his association with Jose Chile de Castro was a big part of the charges sticking against him, as judges want to make an example out of anyone associated with de Castro. Going further, Wallace blamed his physical appearance for the discrimination, as he said he looked Haitian, and people responded horribly to Haitians. Turning to his romantic life, Wallace again complained about American women and said that he could go to another country and get sex with a different woman daily, as women outside of the United States treat him like a god. He looked forward to his upcoming sex tours, which he said he'd be embarking on after his October court case is settled. Wallace addressed his current working conditions, as he is still making money off his YouTube channels. He only needs to work temporary jobs in order to keep up with his expenses. He also said he had no plans to find full-time employment, as he was leaving the country as soon as humanly possible. Addressing his mental health, Wallace admitted that he had been depressed recently and that time off from YouTube streaming was good for his health. He later promised to stream again later last night, but never did. Finally, Wallace reminded his fans that they can directly contribute to paying for his fine of the Texas case, and again distributed the link to pay the fine in a side chat before signing out for the night. Wallace's return did nothing to impact the market, as our own ongoing expenses account won the day with a $10 take from our hate watcher. On that note, if you'd like to send your money to a YouTuber who isn't paying off his massive court fines, we'd be remiss if we didn't remind you that you can contribute to force the college dropout and known cryptid Jim Finch to keep writing this dreadful column each day by contributing to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Chile de Castro loses Instagram account. Jose Chile de Castro made the stunning announcement on his YouTube channel Monday night that his hugely popular Instagram account had been deleted by the service for violating their guidelines by posting anti-police videos. De Castro's propaganda videos, designed to sell his 5A cop card and indestructible trifold products, have gotten the YouTuber in trouble before, with multiple accounts on TikTok and other services either being suspended or being removed entirely from this service. The hate-filled messages typically call police officers demons and accuse officers of various perceived indiscretions based on De Castro's own previous encounters with police officers. De Castro had been known to tailor his message to attack police on real or imagined slights he felt happened during his most recent rendezvous with officers. A recent encounter with police in Las Vegas, for example, was labeled "Undercover Cops Terrorizing Americans," yet featured a brief, mostly positive encounter with police officers. De Castro's slight that caused the headline? One of the police officers was driving an unmarked vehicle. It was referenced for an entire second in the video itself, with De Castro asking, "Is that an undercover?" before going into a lengthy pitch for his products, while holding the camera in an over-exaggerated forced perspective angle to make himself look taller. Monday's broadcast was more of the same, with his subject of North Florida Deputy Zach Wester, who was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison for planting meth on innocent drivers back in 2022. A settlement between the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and the defendants in the cases handled by Zach Wester resulted in the dismissal of most of the convictions Wester was involved in and unspecified financial payouts to the victims of Wester. DeCastro later prank called the Jackson County Sheriff's Office in order to inquire if Wester's family was still employed by the police in Florida. The dispatcher he talked to seemed confused, as she had only heard that Wester's father had been a police officer. She quickly transferred DeCastro to voicemail of another unit to handle his inquiries. The YouTuber addressed what he claimed to be growing shipping problems with his merchandise line, stating that he was now going to be selling his indestructible trifolds in packs of 2 for $20 with $10 shipping. He will only be shipping via certified mail, as he was tired of problems regular shipping and handling had caused him. DeCastro scheduled a live stream for Tuesday afternoon entitled Big News. Will provide continuing coverage of his big news as he announces it. Benson DMA talks smack to Inglewood City Council. YouTubers Regan Benson and Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova live streamed from the Inglewood, Colorado Civic Center Monday night as they claimed they were to attend the going away party for Inglewood Police Chief Sam Watson, who is retiring later this month. The pair were on scene before the regular Inglewood City Council meeting, with Cordova signed up to speak. As they were walking to enter the building, they noticed Watson and his wife entering the building, and Watson holding the door for those who were near him. Benson and Cordova, who were not close to the doors, complained that Watson did not hold the door open for them, with Benson sarcastically asking Watson, who is now inside the building, if he would let her stick her thumb up his butt. After going through security, Benson noted that the new signs were displayed throughout the facility, indicating that flash photography was only allowed during recognition periods. Press had to stay at the press table to film, and booing, cheering, and applauding was now prohibited. Benson encountered City Council member Rita Russell on the way into the City Council chamber and demanded to know when Russell would be replying to her email on the City Council's consideration of a camping ban law. Russell, who was usually sympathetic towards Benson, told the YouTuber and activist that she didn't think Benson deserved a response after Benson belittled her and degraded her in an email sent to the entire City Council. Inglewood, like other cities across the country, debated a camping ban that would essentially allow police to arrest people for sleeping on the streets or on city-owned property. No decision has been made on such a ban, and no motion has been advanced to institute the ban. Cordova, returning to the chamber for the first time since mysteriously ending a speech mid-sentence 2 weeks ago, milled about the chamber, talking with various officials before the event started. Once the meeting started, Benson became outraged and appealed to the city clerk when this entire chamber applauded for Police Chief Sam Watson after he gave a speech thanking the city council for recognition and reflecting on his time as police chief. The outraged YouTuber pointing out that the posted sign said that applause was prohibited in general and did not specify when applause was allowed. Benson later used her new position at the back of the room at the media table to loudly criticize and mock speakers at the city council meeting, to a great delight of the 58 viewers of her live stream. Cordova was the last speaker during the public speaking portion of the event. Due to recently enacted policy changes, he was moved down the list of speakers since he had spoken at the previous city council meeting. He thanked City Manager Sean Lewis and City Council member Tina Prang for checking in on him after the incident at the previous meeting, and explained that he was fine now, but he had been going through a lot of things at the previous meeting. Cordova then launched into the same speech aimed at City Council member Steve Ward, who penned a column about recent actions of the First Amendment auditor in the Inglewood City magazine. The YouTuber brought up Ward's criticism of his comments supporting the public display of pornography in the Inglewood Public Library, and again said that it would be unconstitutional to ban pornography, though he would never look at pornography in public. He then criticized the changes made to the public speaking portion of the meeting, calling Mayor Orthano Sierra more disruptive when he asked people to stop clapping than the disruption caused by those who decide to clap. Cordova claimed that it was discriminatory to ban applause as it was targeted towards opponents of the city council, and he felt the ban should be rescinded. Benson and Cordova left the meeting after Cordova's address, going to the third floor to have an extended complaint session for their fans about the current state of Inglewood police, tyrants, policies, unconstitutional, and the city's war on the homeless. The pair took all copies of the Inglewood magazine from displays on the third floor, along with assorted promotional material, and began autographing them to be used in a future raffle for their fans. Benson promising a $5 raffle entry fee, with all proceeds going to her nonprofit homeless or outreach organization. Benson later accused Denver Police Sergeant Brian O'Neill of modifying a homeless woman's address within Denver's police system to send mail to Benson's house on behalf of the woman, with the YouTuber filing an internal affairs complaint about the incident where the woman's jury duty summons was delivered to Benson's home. Ending the stream, Benson asked her fans to start complaining to Colorado's Attorney General about Inglewood, as the Inglewood police will never follow up on her complaints. She also promised a big update on an unknown issue before calling it a night. DeCastro rage quits reading of own win over LMVPD. Jose Chile DeCastro announced on his Tuesday afternoon livestream that he had won over the Las Vegas Metro Police Department in his lawsuit and will be going above the current judge and taking the case to circuit court before asking his chat to brigade the judge in the case for lying about him in a recent ruling. DeCastro read Judge Andrew P. Gordon's recent 51-page ruling on his latest live stream, criticizing Gordon's description of the traffic stop that led to DeCastro's arrest in March of 2023. The YouTuber accused the judge of bias from the description and became visibly irritated by that alleged bias, screaming at his fans that the judge should have called the commands by police illegal commands and that he should have thrown out both qualified immunity for the officers and probable cause in the case, comparing Gordon to the unprincipled Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman, who found him guilty of the charges from the incident in Nevada State Court before her ruling was ultimately overturned by an appeals court. The YouTuber promised to get Gordon's name and investigate Gordon's bias against him. DeCastro also claimed that Gordon left out accusations by DeCastro that Officer Jesse Sandoval went under the cameras and punched him squarely in the testicles. He disputed Judge Gordon's account of the incident, rage quitting the reading when DeCastro misread Gordon's account of the arrest when he claimed Gordon said he was walking around instead of moving around. Still enraged, DeCastro also threatened Judge Gordon with a mass petition, claiming that his thousands of viewers will petition the judge to call him a lying tyrant. He also accused Gordon of having a sock account to watch DeCastro's videos, and that Gordon was currently watching the video before distributing Gordon's mailing address and asking his viewers to petition Gordon directly. At one point, DeCastro attempted to call Judge Gordon directly, mistakenly getting the district court instead of the federal court. He also attempted to call his lawyer, Michael Mee, with his audience listening into the call, only to have Mee's receptionist take a message as Mee was otherwise indisposed. DeCastro, who was obviously reading the ruling on air for the first time, became increasingly angered by the description of the motions and the judge's initial rulings. He ended up becoming so triggered that he had to stop the live stream as he could no longer finish reading the 51-page document. The rage shown by DeCastro puzzled most viewers, as Friday's ruling by Gordon was an equal part win and loss for the YouTuber. According to legal expert Merb, DeCastro could essentially use the ruling to demand a settlement from the LVMPD, who would be in a better position financially to settle the case rather than continue. DeCastro's insistence that he would appeal the case until we get a judge who will rule for us apparently will end any thoughts of a settlement and a quick resolution to this case. Wallace won't shut up, market goes into coma. After nearly a month without updates from YouTuber Floyd Wallace, his audience seemed to be a bit put off by Wallace's second live stream in a row and his complete lack of anything to talk about on Tuesday. Wallace, often pausing to go silent or briefly stream inspirational content from someone else's live stream, continued his plea to have his fans contribute directly to paying his nearly $800 in fine from a conviction in Grayson County, Texas for resisting arrest, search, or transport. The YouTuber distributed a direct link and his case number and pled with his fans to pay a minimum of $5 to this fine via the link. He warned that he would not be able to fully embark on his sex tourism vacations until the fine was paid, and that if his fans wanted to see his channel thrive, he must be fully free. Revealing his plan to leave the United States for at least a year in order to grow his channel, Wallace said he was considering selling his recently purchased car for $500. He claimed despite an accident that caused severe damage to the car that he could not afford to fix, the car runs good, but would be expendable should he be allowed to leave the United States as planned. As part of Wallace's current deferment program, he is able to leave the United States for up to 21 days, as long as he gets approval from his probation officer and shares the location he'll be staying at with the court. According to Wallace, the restriction ends at the end of his deferment period, and the charge will be stricken from his record. Wallace also again claimed that he could shorten the length of his deferment period from 6 months to 3 months by paying off his fines. He then again implored his viewers to either pay his fine directly or contribute directly to his Cash App, with their donations marked to be used to pay his fine. He also claimed that he wanted to get a continuance in his court case in Norman, Oklahoma, set for October 1st, 2024. He previously said he wanted to stop his pending plea deal and fight the charges with a new attorney. He did not repeat that statement on this live stream. Bragging that he was in contact with several women in Colombia, Wallace joked that he would be selling the contact information of an acquaintance named Priscilla, as he implied that he no longer needed her number. Wallace also extended his comments on American women, calling it unfair that American women expect men to work for anything and to prove themselves before giving up sex. He praised Brazilian women, who he found to be more sexually open, and claimed he had the most sexual success in Brazil. Ignoring warnings from fans, Wallace also said that he was considering going to Haiti for the African experience. He said that he was not at risk for kidnapping, as he could handle himself despite warnings from his chat. Finally, Wallace updated the Passport Bros reality show he previously claimed to be under consideration to be a cast member for. Wallace said he heard from one of the producers that the show was indefinitely suspended due to lack of promotion. Wallace's return again did nothing to impact the market, as our own ongoing expenses account won the day with a $10 take from our hate watcher. On that note, if you'd like to stop a young and vibrant Pennsylvania-based YouTuber losing his clothes and finding his inner hedonist as he goes live like Bigfoot instead of producing new videos, he could pass for a cryptid, believe us. We'd be remiss if we didn't remind you that you can continue to force the college dropout and known cryptid Jim Finch to keep writing this dreadful column each day by contributing to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Long Island audits confronts controversial Union City mayor. In another example of the decline of his channel, Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz released an edited video with the premise that he was going to confront Union City, New Jersey Mayor Brian P. Stack, but instead turned the bulk of the confrontation over to Leonard Leroy Truth Filipowski. Filipowski famously was arrested 2 months ago at a Union City Council meeting after making disparaging comments about the mayor and the city council. This resulted in other auditors from across the United States attempting to confront Stack, including a famous incident where James Freeman Springer and Josh Accountability for All Abrams were threatened with arrest for entering the mayor's office area. This culminated in a mass gathering of independent journalists in early August, supposedly organized by Riaz, where various YouTubers gathered in Union City to essentially run amok for an afternoon inside and outside of the city hall and the surrounding area. That gathering was hailed as a success, but exposed the underbelly of the YouTube independent journalist culture, as a clash of extreme personalities of independent journalists resulted in some very high-profile feuds and channel fights that continue to this day. Riaz joined Filipowski on his recent return to the Union City Council meeting in order to confront Mayor Stack during the public comment portion of the meeting. Riaz initially spent most of his allotted time singling out the city clerk for sitting with her back to the audience while addressing that audience. The YouTuber said he believed it was illegal for her to do so and complained bitterly that he was near the front row and couldn't understand what she said. He then was largely ignored by the mayor and city council members as he went into his prepared speech about First Amendment violations. He also called the mayor to drop the cyberbullying charges against Filipowski. Filipowski then took the podium where he repeated essay and allegations against the police officer and best friend of the mayor made by a police dispatcher in the past. He then bellowed that the mayor turned Union City into a cage where police officers were free to have unwanted sexual relations with whomever they liked without reparations. Filipowski ran out of his allotted time as he was in the middle of accusing the mayor of covering up the alleged essay, and this is where the lazily edited video abruptly ends. For his part, the mayor offered no reaction to either Riaz or Filipowski and continued to shuffle and read papers in front of them during the entire length of their confrontations. The video seemed to be bait and switch to many. Riaz only offered his standard speech on the First Amendment, took no risks at all in his supposed confrontation of the mayor, and left the actual confrontation to Filipowski, then seemed to lose interest as fast as he could count the revenue generated by the video. As of press time, the video has had 275,958 views. Katie Kidman audits evil California dentist. YouTuber Katie Kidman took a break from filming rolling rallies for presidential candidate Donald Trump and illegally auditing from inside California public schools in order to film a riveting audit of the outside of a dentist's office. The YouTuber, joined by fellow YouTubers Nasty Nathaniel and Matthew the King, stood outside of the dentist's office for a good portion of a recent afternoon to film what they could see inside of the building, as the office did not have blinds installed on their windows. Kidman was upset at the evil, unnamed dentist, as she did not like how she was treated during a recent procedure and was thrown out of the office mid-procedure after getting into an altercation with the dentist. Kidman complained that the local community health center referred patients to the dentist and apparently put her in a situation where the dentist could leave her bloody and ripped her teeth out without care for her comfort or her safety. The trio walked up and down the sidewalk in front of the building, filming, describing what they could see, and mocking the dental staff for making makeshift blinds out of flattened cardboard boxes in order to protect the privacy of their patients. At one point, Nathaniel engaged a stopped driver who asked them what they were doing. The driver said that she was the mother of one of the patients that they were filming and was concerned that the trio was filming her daughter without consent. After explaining that they could film anything they could see in public, the trio then called the dentist a butcher, and when the mother drove off, assured their fans that the mother was now going to take action against the dentist. The point of the audit was unclear as they did not identify the dentist, nor did they disrupt service. A few measures were put in place to protect the privacy of the patients in the rooms that could be seen from the street, but no other reactions were made by the inhabitants of the building. Kidman, who again has devoted her time to filming Trump trains, where she helps to disrupt traffic on behalf of the former president, seemed confused at times during the video, but continued to accuse the dentist of being a butcher before ending the live stream. YouTuber Kidman still lives in her famous blue van and dodges trespassing charges each night by parking her van in a random residential neighborhood across California. Freeman campaigns for arrest of sitting judge. The Neil Mertz Judicial Complex in Torrance County, New Mexico, saw the return of YouTuber James Freeman Springer Monday night as he stood in front of the complex to alert people to a campaign he was fully backing. Freeman spoke on behalf of a petition to file manslaughter charges against Judge Shannon Murder Murdoch, who he says hit and killed a bicyclist in 2019 in Torrance County. Murdoch passed field sobriety tests at the scene of the accident and was given a ticket for misdemeanor overtaking a vehicle on the left. She received a deferred sentence and paid $82 in court costs. The charge was later dismissed as part of a deferment program. A wrongful death lawsuit was filed in 2020 against Murdoch and her employer, the 7th Judicial District Court of New Mexico, which was settled out of court. Freeman explained that he would be helping to take signatures to petition to have manslaughter charges filed against Murdoch. As part of those efforts, he will be outside of the Mertz County Judicial Complex, where Murdoch works, on Wednesday and Thursday, and needed another 205 to 230 signatures of registered voters in Torrance County. The YouTuber explained that the statute of limitations to file charges against the judge ended on Saturday, so they needed a massive influx of real voter signatures immediately in order to have the petition stand a chance to achieve its goal. Freeman did not explain how bringing the judge up on new charges for a crime she was already convicted of would not violate New Mexico's double jeopardy laws. While the judge was not charged with manslaughter, she was still tried and found guilty of the accident that led to the death of one of the two bikers she hit with her car. Also of note, and admitted by Freeman on the live stream, Freeman is currently actively suing Judge Murdoch in an ongoing lawsuit. Freeman filed suit against the entire 7th District Court system last year after Judge Mercedes Murphy limited Freeman's access to buildings in the 7th District after multiple acts by Freeman of disruption. An order was issued by Murphy requiring Freeman to have a member of law enforcement serve as his escort while he was conducting business within facilities belonging to the 7th District Court system. Freeman sued over the ruling, and the lawsuit is currently before an appeals court after being dismissed earlier this year. We will update should Freeman go live for the petition drives this week. Chile de Castro to start new channel? A lot has been made about Jose Chile de Castro's claim on Wednesday that they killed his channel and that he had no choice but to start a new channel. The announcement itself had no impact on the market at all, with our own ongoing expenses fund winning the day with a $10 take and absolutely nothing going to de Castro's fundraising efforts. De Castro is right in one regard: his channels are in free fall. As of this morning, the main Delete Laws channel is down 70% in new subscribers for the past 30 days, and down 58% new views. His DLZ Clips channel is doing better, with flat new subscriber growth for the past 30 days and a 2.4% drop in viewership. However, his American Patriot channel is spiraling hard, with a flat subscriber growth for the past 30 days and a 167.3% decline in viewers. DLZ Clips was set up to be De Castro's backup channel and features simulcast versions of his live streaming. American Patriot was designed to feature his footage from Ironton, Ohio, shot in 2022, where he set himself up as the hero of Ironton, despite the real outcome being anything but. It also features simulcasts of his live streams. Both channels were set up at a time where De Castro had enough viewers to support 3 channels, but his channel was in decline even then. De Castro burst on the scene in 2022 with the siege on Ironton, Ohio, and became the latest locale fad for most of the year. He was an easy video for most creators, as his stupidity and controversial antics kept his name in the news, and everyone seemed happy with the arrangement. De Castro would do something or say something outrageous, stupid, or funny, and at least a dozen channels would react to it. The arrangement was great for everyone, as everyone was making money off of it, including De Castro. But DeCastro got greedy. He wanted to share the revenue from everyone who used his videos. That's when he began to content strike everyone who used his videos, taking down some big-name channels, at least temporarily, and then embarking on filing a lawsuit in an attempt to get revenue out of the reuse of his content. Reaction videos pretty much began to quickly decline after the first lawsuit turned into a copyright lawsuit and brought in YouTube. By mid-2023, only the Welsh News Network would touch his material on a regular basis, re-airing his nightly broadcasts in their entirety while providing transformative commentary to the point where YouTube wouldn't shut the channel down. By July of 2023, DeCastro was bringing in 50,000 new subscribers a month. Accusations began as far back as the fall of 2022 that DeCastro was buying subscribers and views. YouTube itself declined to give DeCastro a silver plaque or any recognition for his tremendous growth due to content violations, even a year after the lawsuit against the company was dismissed. The fall of 2023 was not kind to DeCastro. He split with partner Colin Project Constitution Campbell and put an end to his lucrative TikTok-centered channels. DeCastro would eventually take on an infomercial format, doing nightly 3-hour desperate pleas for his fans to buy his trifolds and his then-new 5A cop cards, like a pitchman on late-night paid promotional television. By February of 2024, DeCastro's numbers were still steady, but he wasn't pulling in the 50,000 to 70,000 new subscribers per month, with declines back to roughly 1,000 new subscribers a day, which DeCastro attributed to his tremendous performance in YouTube Shorts. And then DeCastro went to jail in March of 2024. Everything declined to negative growth. Only attorney Michael Eline's vertical format live streams would pull in the huge numbers that DeCastro was accustomed to, and once he returned from jail, DeCastro's delayed return to live streaming and his refusal to mimic whatever Eline was doing to get so many viewers has put his channel in a spiral when it comes to new subscribers and views. He also lost his final foil while he was in jail. The Welsh News Network's dissolution in May ended the only channel that was giving him regular coverage by restreaming his content. While other channels briefly touched on his stupidity, no one else restreamed him to the market of hate watchers who were keeping his name alive within that community. For all of his losses, DeCastro's not losing subscribers. He's never had a period where his subscriber base has declined more than 1,000 subscribers at a time for the decline to show in Social Blade. Other than his regulars and newcomers, his chat usually consists of the same handful of moderators and friends, and has never the high attendance levels of other auditors with less subscribers than DeCastro has. In fact, his live streams rarely see more than 500 viewers attend live, and most recently he's complained that he's had under 300 people across all of the YouTube and external platforms. When a video receives large numbers of viewers, they mysteriously come after most of DeCastro's audience is asleep. When DeCastro split with Colin Campbell last year, Campbell said that he was unaware of DeCastro buying subscribers or views. DeCastro has always denied it, and there have been campaigns where detractors have bought batches of likes on certain videos that outweighed the actual views of those videos. Whatever Eline was doing, he took it to his channel after DeCastro returned from jail, and DeCastro hasn't emulated his style for the quick views and subscriber gains. DeCastro has also suffered losses with financial backers. Gone are the days where he'd get thousands of dollars a month from a revolving network of female fans who would shower him with super chats. He no longer has the power to do fundraisers, and his incredible legal bills from hiring lawyers to represent him in various civil and criminal cases has made some speculate that he simply can't afford to buy subscribers or views. They point out that he's bleeding money to the point where he's selling friendship bracelets and other trinkets on his website to try to drum up support from his failing viewership. DeCastro said that he was going to have to start a new channel and give up his Delete Laws empire because they destroyed that channel. It seems pretty obvious that it wasn't they, it was DeCastro himself. and starting over might not go as easily or return him to glory as fast as he thinks it will. On that note, if you'd like to keep us from desperately starting over to jumpstart our own failures, we'd be remiss if we didn't remind you that you can continue to force the college dropout known cryptid Jim Finch to keep writing this dreadful column each day by contributing to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. New prosecutor announced in Karen Reed case. Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey announced on Wednesday that Hank Brennan had been appointed as a special assistant district attorney who has been assigned to take over the Karen Reed murder case. Brennan released a statement that he is assuming all responsibility for the prosecution of the case and will do so methodically, ethically, and zealously without compromise. The attorney also said that they would ensure that Reed receives a fair trial and that the facts surrounding O'Keefe's death are fully and fairly aired in the courtroom without outside influence. Karen Reed is accused of murdering her then-boyfriend John O'Keefe in January of 2022 by allegedly ramming her car into him and leaving him for dead after dropping him off at a friend's house for an after-party after a night of drinking. Reed's defense team said that Reed is innocent of all charges and that a huge conspiracy is responsible for the charges against Reed, as others murdered O'Keefe and left him for dead in order to frame Reed for the murder. The first attempt to try Reed for the charges ended in a hung jury in July of this year. Brennan's statement that he would be fighting outside influence would be key to the prosecution. In the first trial, Reed's defense strategy was to mobilize supporters, including Aidan Turtleboy Kearney, to prosecute the prosecution's case in public, promoting wild conspiracies, and even resorting to verbally attacking O'Keefe's family in his efforts to defend Reed. Kearney himself, who was charged with multiple felony counts of witness intimidation related to the case, secured press credentials and is alleged to have embarked on a campaign to intimidate witnesses with his presence in the courtroom, having to be removed from the courtroom when those he had been accused of intimidating were testifying. As special prosecutor, Brennan will be working with Norfolk County Assistant District Attorneys Adam Lally, Laura McLaughlin, and Caleb Schillinger. Lally was the primary prosecutor for the first trial, offering a workmanlike approach to his prosecution while receiving criticism of being boring and for putting on dubiously qualified expert witnesses to testify. Karen Reed's retrial is expected to begin in January of 2025. Wallace spills tea on American women. YouTuber Floyd Wallace went live for the third consecutive day on Wednesday, sharing his feelings on American women and making a plea to his viewers to pay for his penalties on a Texas conviction so he can return to his life of sex tourism. Wallace said he considered American women to be on the same level as American men, as he didn't see the point in attempting to date them. His main complaint with women in America seems to be his belief that he cannot make enough money to satisfy their needs, as they reject men who make less than $10,000 a month and call them broke ass. He also bemoaned the fact that single moms in America, who he used to be able to take advantage of for sex, have also caught on to this trend, and that to date a single mom in America now means being financially responsible for her and her children before she offers sexual favors. Comparing American women to women in Brazil, Wallace gleefully stated that women in Brazil will have sex with an American man immediately after meeting them, and the only time a Brazilian woman would ask a man to wait was if she was on her, quote, time of the month. The YouTuber admitted that he knew that women treated him differently as an American when he's outside of the United States, but also offered that his buying power and his ability to support the woman was the best thing that happened to the woman, and their brief time together would be the best time of the woman's life. Wallace bragged that the women outside of the United States will forgive American men for any transgressions, and any breakups will not last long, as women always return to the sexual relationship because an American man is the best they can get. Warning against getting serious with the women, Wallace warned that marrying or having children with the women is out of the question to him. He repeatedly stated that he was out to bang and he was not interested in a long-term relationship. He also preached honesty and said that he was always upfront with the women he dated about his status as a felon within the United States, and most women did not care about his background since he was an American. Wallace did not address if being open and honest means revealing his true identity to the women, as his dating profiles and past behavior indicates that he uses the alias Terry when interacting with women overseas. Continuing to beg for his chat to pay the nearly $800 in fines for the Texas conviction, he offered to sell the shirt he was wearing to a viewer for a $200 Cash App donation, and then offered 3 months of managing moderator status on his YouTube channel to anyone who donated $10. Wallace revealed that he only needed another $745 in donations to pay for his Texas fine, which would allow him to end his deferment program early if paid. While he says his travel is not restricted while he's in the deferment program, he implored his fans to continue to help out as he had an urgent need to return to sex tourism. Delete Laws DeCastro continues to spiral. Jose Chile DeCastro's Delete Laws channel featured another less than thrilling performance on Thursday, boring his audience with the same old collection of anti-police videos and not impacting the market at all, as our own ongoing expenses fund won the day with a $10 take. As a sign of how bad things are going for DeCastro, he announced on Thursday that he could no longer afford to send out free physical copies of his products since switching to certified mail. He said he'd still give out the free products to those who couldn't afford them, but in digital format, making it clear that if someone wanted them for free in physical form, he'd have to charge them $11 for certified mail shipping. Shipping remains an issue with DeCastro's products, as he is now sending all products, including the 5A cop cards, via certified mail shipping after he claimed to have too many problems with sending his products via regular U.S. mail. In better times, DeCastro was able to eat the cost of shipping in order to send full copies of his products to those in need. Earlier this year, after the massive setbacks of his finances started, he switched to sending out photocopies of his products while eating the cost of shipping. But now he is at the point where he simply can't afford to take on the burden of $11 for shipping to his most needy fans. DeCastro's YouTube revenues have been down since being freed from jail earlier this year and having to hire new lawyers in his civil lawsuits against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department and the Masshole Troll Mafia group consisting of Kate Peter, Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Michael Blue Bacon Paratini. His criminal defense of Garrett Press with Ranker Van Nett and his own 2 criminal charges have also eaten into his cash on hand to the point where he's begun to sell keychains, wristbands, and other low-level trinkets on his website, hoping to inspire his viewers to buy his promotional material. On Thursday, he again accused an unnamed group only identified as they as working to destroy his channel and soon would be forcing him to make his existing Delete Laws channel dormant while he focuses his efforts on a brand new channel devoted to his anti-police messaging. He promised that if his channel were ever to disappear, fans could keep up with him at his DeleteLaws.com website, which would also provide them instructions on how to find his new channel. It's unclear if his DLZ clips and his American Patriot channels will also go dormant in his pending decision to put aside his main channel. DeCastro's popular Instagram account was recently deleted for violating Instagram's policies. On that note, if you'd like to keep us from going dormant to hide our own failures, we'd be remiss if we didn't remind you that you can continue to force the discount cat collector and known yellow bird Jim Finch to keep writing this dreadful column each day by contributing to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Karen Reed appeal goes to Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. On the same day that Karen Reed fans gathered at the Massachusetts State House to protest her pending retrial for allegedly murdering police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe in January of 2022, Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court Justice Elizabeth D. Warr announced that Reed's appeal would be ruled on by the full panel. Reed is appealing two of the three charges against her in the retrial, stating that while the jury did not return verdicts on the two counts, the jury's internal polling was unanimous in finding her free of guilt on the charge of second-degree murder and a charge of leaving the scene of personal injury and death. Judge Beverly Cannoni had previously ruled against Reed in her initial appeal of the charges, claiming that an internal jury vote during deliberations cannot be used as a verdict by Massachusetts law. Reed's lawyers differed on that view, stating that because the internal polling showed a not guilty vote, then going forward with the charges would amount to double jeopardy. According to reporting by Boston's WBZ News, Justice DeWar had the ability to dismiss the appeal or to pass the appeal on to the full panel. As she chose to pass the appeal on to the entire panel, the panel will allow the opportunity for both the Commonwealth and Reed's lawyers to argue their cases sometime before the scheduled January 27th start of her retrial. As noted above, Reed's fans protested at the Massachusetts State House on Thursday, with Turtle Boy Aiden Kearney participating among the 100 or so supporters who turned up for the event. Protesters displayed uncensored autopsy photos of victim O'Keefe as proof of the various theories of a vast conspiracy designed to frame Reed of the murder of O'Keefe. Angry members of the same contingent have posted in our own comments on previous Karen Reed coverage, commenting that Turtle Boy Kearney's protests in front of witnesses' houses in 2023 did not amount to witness intimidation, and that the voice we use when reading the news sounds like a cuck. We will continue to bring you the news, critiques, and cuckadoodle-doos from the rabid supporters of Karen Reed in the future. Irish Demon to investigate Welsh News Network's Jones. YouTuber Irish Demon announced in a newly released video that he was fundraising for a couple £100 to fund his next trip to Wales in order to investigate Daniel Jones of the Welsh News Network after word was received that Jones had failed to make promise payments to his alleged victims. Demon, along with former WNN personality Shuggy and Demon's girlfriend Chloe, had previously live-streamed from outside of Jones's residence in May as part of an expose of Jones's lifestyle and claims of vast wealth. Jones is accused of not turning over funds he had collected for the cancer treatment of a Discord user, money owed to his now ex-girlfriend and former WNN co-host Becca, or to show proof that he donated funds he claimed he was collecting for an animal shelter in Wales. Demon's video used portions of his recent livestream with YouTubers Mark the Sarcastic Law Student and Witch of Heart, who had previously interviewed Jones for his reaction to a letter drafted by Shuggy and sent to Jones on behalf of himself and former WNN teammates. Demon, in light of the recent stabbing incident where YouTuber Eli was stalked and stabbed at his home on a live stream by Easy Cameras On, made it clear that he was not planning on confronting Jones, but to do investigative work showing Jones's picture around and collecting stories of Jones's misdeeds to the general public in order to share these stories with his audience. The scheduled date for Demon's trip to Wales has not been announced at press time. Full disclosure, Jones did a fundraiser for this publication in the spring of 2024. While funds were collected, the funds were never given to Jim Finch or the paper directly. Instead, Jones had Finch open an Amazon.com registry, and he would purchase items and send them to Finch directly. The items themselves, along with the assorted renewals of software packages Finch used at the time, roughly came to the same amount Jones said that the fundraiser had gathered. Delete laws insults police at crash scene. An overstimulated Jose Chili de Castro ran around an accident scene in downtown Los Angeles early Saturday morning, running from witness to witness, randomly laughing and making inappropriate comments, zooming in on hot women, and taking time to focus his camera in on a female police officer to insult and degrade her. DeCastro went live in vertical format around midnight Pacific time, driving up and down Hollywood Boulevard and then Sunset Boulevard in LA, showing off famous landmarks including the Laugh Factory, the Roosevelt Hotel, and Ripley's Believe It or Not before coming across a traffic accident. An excited DeCastro parked his car at a gas station and gleefully ran over to the car accident between a black Audi and an unidentified model white car, which was blocking multiple lanes of traffic. The YouTuber claimed he wasn't wearing his glasses, so he couldn't see anything on his phone to respond to the chat, wandered around the scene, getting progressively more excited as he attempted to ask questions of the passenger from the black car. That passenger was not injured, but had been seated on the side of the car with the most damage when the crash occurred. DeCastro then ran over to the white car, marveling that the airbag had deployed, and eventually asked the driver if he was okay. That driver complained of shoulder and head injuries, which DeCastro discounted, telling the driver not to call the police. Back to the black car, and the driver came over to DeCastro and his passenger. DeCastro shared his advice not to call the police or talk to the police, and just to call AAA to get a wrecker on the scene. DeCastro was acting more oddly than usual as he broke into song. Blue by Eiffel 65 from 1999, started laughing inappropriately, used his camera to zoom in on the bodies of two young women crossing the street, began comparing his viewership to that of Alex Jones, lied about having a BMW, and broke into a southern accent at times to entertain the 500 to 1,000 fans. Eventually, DeCastro began to complain that police were taking too long to show up at the scene, though he was disappointed when the police arrived, as the 4 officers on scene consisted of a male officer who was barely as tall as DeCastro and 3 female officers. As he let the police take over the scene, he started to covertly insult one of the female officers to a side chat as she was overweight, and repeated his claims that pigtails should not be allowed to be in any role where they have physical dominion over men. Eventually, DeCastro began to attempt to flirt with the other female police officers, standing in the middle of the street to ask them questions about their jobs. He was eventually rebuffed and told to get out of the road as a tow truck was attempting to get the white car out of the street. He wandered over to the gas station where he had parked his car and watched as the 2 drivers involved in the accident shook hands and as the police wrapped up their investigation. DeCastro then went into a pitch for his trifold and 5A cop card products, which would not have helped at all in the case of the car accident. During the 95-minute video, DeCastro announced to the blonde passenger of the black car that YouTube was killing his channel and that he was starting a new channel next week.